Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes, and this is a super simple, complete beginner's guide to the MMORPG Guild Wars 2. If you're a new player, I'm going to cover everything you need to know to begin playing, from character creation to in-game mechanics. This will be an extremely long and detailed guide. If you know what you're looking for, use the timecode in the description below to jump there. If you're a brand new player, I suggest you grab a cup of tea and settle in. We have a lot to cover, so let's go. Core game and the expansions. Despite being called Guild Wars 2, you do not need to have played Guild Wars 1 to understand the story. Older players who have played Guild Wars 1 will notice some nostalgic callbacks, but newer players will not miss out on anything major at all. Guild Wars 2 consists of the core game and several expansions. At the time of this guide being made, those expansions are Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire. The core game is completely free to download and play all the way through. This isn't a demo or a small taster area, it's the full, entire core game with nothing limited to you. You can download and play Guild Wars 2 right now, absolutely free. The expansions, however, must be paid for. They're one-time payments and then they're unlocked for life. There's no subscription or reoccurring membership needed. Pay once, play forever. The expansions often go on sale and you can normally pick up both for between $25 and $50, pounds or euros. Once you've downloaded the core game, you'll be able to create your account, log in and play. Before we get into character creation, let's talk about Megaservers for a moment. Megaservers, worlds and shards. I'm going to use three specific terms here: Megaserver, world and shard. Guild Wars 2 has three Megaservers: European, North American, and Chinese. If you're on the same Megaserver as your friends, you can team up and play together. It's that simple. If you're on the North American or European Megaserver, you can pay real money to switch to the other one. It's expensive and not recommended, but it's always an option. If you're on the Chinese Megaserver, you can't leave. This won't be an issue for most of you, as this video will likely be watched by European or North American players. Each Megaserver is then broken down into worlds. Currently, the North American Megaserver has 24 worlds, and the European Megaserver has 27, 13 of which are focused on a specific language. The world you choose only matters when you get involved with world PvP, and will not affect your general gameplay. Remember, as far as grouping and teaming with other players goes, the game only cares about which Megaserver you're on, not which world. When you load into any area in the game, let's take the Caeldon Forest as an example, you'll be placed into a certain shard of that map. If you're unfamiliar with shards, they work like this. If every single player in the Caeldon Forest was loaded into the exact same map at the exact same time, the game would likely crash or become an unplayable mess. So there are actually a large amount of Caeldon Forest maps which exist, all exactly the same. Think of them like identical rooms in a building. We refer to these exact copies as shards. You will be able to see and interact with other players also on your shard. This means while running around playing, there may be other people in the world right now standing exactly where you are, but they're on a different shard to prevent overpopulation, so you won't see them. The game does, however, always attempt to place players of the same language, players that are in the same guild, or on each other's friends list on the same shard. To recap, because I know this can be confusing, if you want to play with your friends, the only thing you need to have the same is which Megaserver you choose: North American, European, or Chinese. Creating a character. Once you've downloaded the game and logged in for the first time, you'll be able to create your character. You can have multiple characters on one account, so don't worry about committing to the first class you choose. When creating a character, you'll first be asked to pick your race. Your race will determine which starting area you get within the game, but beyond that, this is entirely superficial and won't affect general gameplay at all. Pick the one you like the look of. After that, you'll be able to pick a class. Each class in Guild Wars 2 is balanced and useful. There is no best and they all play differently. Each class has elements of close-range combat, long-range combat, and underwater combat. The classes may sound like traditional fantasy staples, but have remarkably varied mechanics, making them extremely interesting. The warrior may carry a large sword, but can also place flags on the battlefield that grant huge buffs to allies. You can also pick up these flags and fight with them as weapons. The Mesmer can create magical portals linking two places together that can be used by other players. Have a play around and pick the class you think you would enjoy. The rest of the character creation process is aesthetic: facial shape, colours of armour, and which god you feel a connection to. Nothing you choose during this process will limit what you can or cannot do in-game, so play around and have fun with it. Once you have a character, you'll be able to watch the introductory cutscene and enter the game. Camera controls. Guild Wars 2 does an excellent job of introducing you to the core mechanics through simplistic tutorial areas, but I'm going to cover everything in detail now. An important note before explaining anything: almost every single key and button can be remapped by pressing Escape, going to Options, then Controls, then double-clicking the current mapping, and instead pressing the key you want to use. This guide will assume that you haven't remapped anything. Movement is standard WASD to move forwards, backwards, left and right, and spacebar is jump. The mouse will move the camera, and it's not locked relative to the camera. This means swinging the camera around and pressing W to move the character forward will move them forward relative to the character and not the camera. Scrolling in or out controls the zoom. If you like, you can zoom all the way in and play in first person. While great for exploration, this can often be awkward for combat. By holding down right click, you can lock the camera to the character, meaning when you move the mouse, now the character will always relate forward movement to the camera location and not their own body. I find it much easier to play this way. There is, however, another camera control style known as action camera, which makes the gameplay more like Neverwinter or Terra. Press Escape, head to Options, then Control Options, and assign a key to Toggle Action Camera. I personally use the left Alt key. Action Camera will constantly lock the camera behind the character as standard. To get your mouse cursor back while in this mode, simply press whichever key you assigned to Toggle Action Camera. Interface. Now we've sorted camera and character movement, let's examine the standard in-game interface. Access the cursor by playing the standard camera or toggling action camera off, and look in the top left of the screen at the small icons. The gear icon is the game menu and can be accessed by pressing Escape. Contacts and LFG, or Looking for Group, is your friends list and can be accessed by pressing Y. The sword and shield is your hero menu, shortcut H, and will be explained more fully later in this guide. The backpack is your inventory, shortcut I. The letter is your in-game mail, either from in-game NPCs or other players, and has no assigned shortcut. The lion face motif is the Black Lion Trading Company, Guild Wars 2's in-game microtransaction shop, shortcut key O. Don't worry, this isn't essential and doesn't sell anything game-breaking. One thing I cannot praise this game enough for is how fair the cash shop is. The single shield icon is your guild information, shortcut G, and will only apply once you join a guild, explained in a future guide. The tower icon displayed is world versus world information, shortcut B. World versus world is a huge, constant and consistent PvP battle between the various home worlds on a mega server, who fight for domination of specific territories. As a new player, you won't need to worry about this yet. Just know, once you're much higher level, you'll be able to fight in the name of your chosen homeworld. The crossed swords icon is the PvP menu, which has no assigned shortcut. PvP in Guild Wars 2 is remarkably fair, instantly leveling everyone up to maximum and allowing access to powerful weapons and armor, meaning skill is the limiting factor, not items. PvP will be discussed later in this guide. The small square just under the icon list is your current party, shortcut P. If you're in a party with other players, this will display various useful information about them, life totals, and any active buffs currently affecting them. On the bottom left is your chat box, showing all in-game chat from other players or combat information about damage done by you or to you. You can click the gear icon to personalize various aspects of this and cycle through the tabs by clicking on them to see which chat is the most useful to you. I have local chat, in-game chat, combat info, and zone-wide map chat ready to go. As with all MMORPGs, press enter, start typing, then press enter again to talk. At the bottom center of the screen, you'll see your action bar, possibly the most important part of your interface. Let's work through this from left to right. On the left side, you'll see 5 boxes. These are your main attacks. They're mapped as standard to the number keys 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. While using the action camera mode, the attack assigned to number 1 is also auto-assigned to your left mouse button. These attacks change depending on what type of weapon you have equipped. If you're playing a warrior, you'll have the ability to use many weapon types, and which weapon type you choose to wield will change the attacks you have available to you. The same is true for spells that magic users can cast. They are based on your weapon. If you equip a two-handed weapon, such as a greatsword, all 5 attacks will change to reflect that weapon's combat style. If you're dual-wielding different weapons in each hand, the main weapon, held in your main hand, will decide the first 3 attack skills you get, and your offhand weapon will decide the last 2. This means a dagger main hand and pistol offhand will produce a different attack combination to a pistol main hand and dagger offhand. You're able to see what weapons your class is able to use in the hero menu, explained later in this guide. Experiment and discover what combination of weapons you enjoy or fit your situation. Certain combinations are more aggressive, while some are more defensive. When you start playing the game, you will not have access to all 5 attacks. The remaining ones will unlock as you level up. Each class will also have a small piece of class-specific information above these attacks. The warrior will have the adrenaline meter, the elementalist will have various elements they can cycle through, the mesmer decides what clones they will create and how they work. These are your class-specific features. When you pick your class, the tutorial in-game will explain what your specific interface means. In the center, you'll see a red orb. This is your current health. Fully red is good, not full is bad. Your health recovers remarkably quickly when not in combat, so don't worry about having to heal up after a fight. The game will do that for you. Above the red orb are 2 yellow segments. These are your dodge energy. Whenever you roll or dodge out the way, achieved by double tapping in a direction or binding a key to the dodge movement, I've personally assigned left shift to dodge, you'll use up one of these segments. Your dodge energy will recover slowly and constantly. While dodging, you benefit from several immunity frames, small moments of time where you cannot be hurt. This allows you to dodge roll through an enemy attack or over dangerous terrain, often shown by a red glow on the floor. A successful dodge through damage will cause the word evaded to pop up on the screen. On the right hand side, you'll see more boxes. You won't have access to these from level 1, but you will unlock them as you level up. These boxes, unlike the attacks on the left, can be customized. Above each one, you'll see a little pop-up menu. Clicking that will show you all the potential skills you could place in this box. The first box is related to healing skills. The next 3 are useful abilities, and the final box is your elite skill. a much more powerful ability with a longer cooldown. Above these boxes, you'll see any passive or active buffs currently applying to your character. Hover your cursor over these for a tooltip pop-up explaining what it is and how long it will last. To the right of these boxes, you'll see the slightly smaller Novelties box. As a new player, don't worry about this. To the bottom right of your screen is your map. We'll talk more about this in the Map Exploration section of this guide. The top right of the screen displays your current objective, or any objectives you may be eligible for. If you're not sure what to do, following any mission or quest listed here can be very useful. In the very top right, you'll see a small icon with an arrow pointing in a certain direction. This is related to the current map you're on, and will always point towards somewhere you either haven't explored or a place of interest you should go to. We'll talk more about this in the Map Exploration section of the guide. At the very bottom of the screen, you'll see your experience bar in yellow, showing how close to the next level you are. To the left side of this bar, you will see two numbers. The white number nearest the bar is your true level, and the other coloured number is your scaled level. Guild Wars 2 operates a level scaling system, meaning when you enter a low-level zone, you'll be treated and have the stats of a lower-leveled player. You won't lose any abilities, but the ones you do use will be less effective. This is to prevent anyone out-leveling a zone, and also makes it possible to play with your friends of any level. To the right-hand side of the experience bar is the little Level Up diamond icon. Clicking on this will show you what you'll unlock when you reach your next level. Now we understand a bit more about the interface. Let's talk about actually playing the game. Map Exploration. When in any area in Guild Wars 2, press M to open your map. You can still move around as normal while the map is open using the W, A, S and D keys. In the top left, you'll see two pieces of important information: your total % of exploring the entire world and your total completion for the specific map you're on. Let's focus on the map you're currently on. Each map in Guild Wars 2 contains far more than just monsters to fight. There are 5 main things to do on any given map. These are: 1. Unlock the waypoints. Waypoints are large floating blue diamond-like things you'll see around. To unlock one, just run up close to it. Once you've unlocked it, you can open your map and click on that waypoint to teleport directly to it for a small fee. This makes getting around really fast and really easy. Remember, however, that sometimes enemies in the game can launch attacks on certain waypoints and prevent them from being used. When this happens, you'll see the sword icon appear over the waypoint on the map. This means it's contested and won't be usable again until either you or another player goes to clear the enemies out. 2. Heart quests. All MMORPGs involve quests, helping a villager collect some apples or killing a horde of skeletons, but Guild Wars 2 handles them a bit differently. Instead of having to go to a quest giver, accept the quest, then complete it and hand it in, you simply need to do whatever would complete the quest anyway, and it'll count as done. They're referred to as heart quests, as they use the symbol of a golden heart. When you're close to a heart quest, the top right of your screen will explain to you what you have to do. Each heart quest has various things you can do to slowly fill the heart meter up, and they're not all combat-based. They could be a combination of combat, fixing, interacting, or gathering. You can see how close you are to completing the quest by watching the meter fill up. Completing any heart quest rewards you with specific quest currency, called karma, which uses this little purple triangle symbol. Every time you complete a heart quest, you'll gain some karma, and also unlock a new merchant specific to that quest. The merchant is always close by and will have a small stock of items that cost various amounts of karma. These items are great for transmogrification purposes, making one item look like another, for when you want to customize your avatar's fashion. We'll talk more about fashion in the hero section of this guide. 3. Points of interest. Every map contains interesting places, such as fortresses, deep dark caves, or local historical monuments. These are all points of interest, and are represented by small squares on the map. Visiting a point of interest is all you need to do to mark it off your map and count as completed. 4. Vistas. Guild Wars 2 is a stunningly beautiful game, and the map designers took full advantage of this fact when designing vistas. A vista is a vantage point that, when reached and activated, will play a short cinematic showing off the beautiful local landscape. The vista symbol on the map is a collection of small red triangles, and the vista location in-game is shown by a floating map. Walk up to the map and press F to access the vista. Vistas are usually hidden away in hard-to-reach locations, often requiring a small adventure or completion of a basic jumping puzzle or platforming section to fully access. 5. Hero Challenges. Scattered around the map, you'll also find hero challenges. The symbol is an up arrow with a human head silhouette in the middle. A hero challenge could simply be a place of power you need to walk up to and interact with, or an NPC you need to talk to. But beware, the places of power are often guarded by stronger enemies than you're used to, and the NPCs will most often challenge you to a fight. Completing hero challenges rewards you with hero points, which are spent to upgrade your character. We'll look at those in the hero points section of this guide. Completing any of these 5 main map activities will not only move you toward your map completion goal, they will grant you experience points. This means it's totally possible to level up by just exploring the world. Once you complete a map and unlock 100% of these 5 main things, you'll be rewarded with a treasure chest. Click on it to open it for the chance at some very rare rewards. One unique element of Guild Wars 2 is the map event chains. They're an alternative way to level up and allow you to really understand the struggles of each map's inhabitants. Event chains work like this. Somewhere on the map there will be an event. You can find all active events by opening the map and looking for any orange circled areas. A strong enemy marked by a boss symbol, or NPCs in-game with the shield icons above their heads, meaning you must follow and protect this person. Events are interesting and each require something different to complete, maybe defending an area from wave after wave of enemies, or making sure a small group of NPCs survives a journey from A to B. When you complete an event, you'll receive a medal symbol on the right-hand side of the screen, showing how successful you were, with experience and rewards based on how well you did. Event chains happen when the end of one event is the trigger for the start of another. By following an event chain around a map, you'll gain large amounts of experience, explore the majority of the map, and get a feel for the in-game situation and history of each area. Sometimes certain areas of the map actually require an event chain to be successful to open up. If you don't feel like grinding quests or searching out points of interest, try following some event chains instead. Jumping puzzles. Some maps contain platform-style jumping puzzles. These aren't the same as the simple Vista jumping puzzles. These are full-on, complex and difficult routes, through caves, over the world on floating islands, or all around the entire city challenges. Jumping puzzles often lead to very rare rewards and can be completed daily for the chances at rarer drops, but they're well hidden and very, very difficult. Personally, this is one of my favourite parts of the entire game, and if you ever do see me in-game, it'll likely be trying to complete a jumping puzzle. Inventory. Let's talk some more about your inventory. Press I to open the inventory screen. At the bottom of the inventory, you'll see a count of your currencies, both karma from heart quests and gold from selling items. This currency is shared across all characters you have. This, however, isn't all the in-game currency available. To see everything available to you, click the wallet icon on the left to access the total list of all possible in-game currencies. On the left-hand side of the main inventory screen, you'll see several small boxes with backpack icons in them. These represent how many bags you currently have. Each bag has a certain amount of slots it can supply you with. You'll start with a 20-slot bag and can find more or buy more from other players, allowing you to carry more items. When you have a new bag, drag it into an empty bag slot to equip it. In the center, you'll see your main inventory and currently held items. At the top, you'll see your shared account slots. All characters can have access to items in these slots, useful for passing items to various characters or storing things you think you'll need on every toon. If you click this little gear icon in the top right and select Hide Bags, it will consolidate all the inventory slots together, allowing you easily to see everything you've got. All items will have an associated rarity level and a colour to show that rarity level. From best to worst, these levels are Junk, grey; Basic, black; Fine, light blue; Masterwork, green; Rare, yellow; Exotic, orange; Ascended, pink; and Legendary, purple. All junk items, that's the grey ones, should be sold to a merchant. They're virtually useless and just take up space in your inventory. When interacting with any merchant in the game, you'll see this Sell Junk button to quickly and easily sell all useless items. Any items useful to you, however, should be equipped, done through the hero menu, which will be explained later. Unwanted or unneeded items can sometimes be broken down into their core crafting components and used to make other, better items in the future. If you have excess items and want to break things down, you'll need a salvage kit, sold at most merchants, either gold merchants or Heart Quest Karma merchants. Once you've bought some salvage kits, you can double-click the kit and choose which level of rarity you'd like to salvage. For the early game, don't worry too much about losing anything valuable. Just break things down to crafting components. I'll explain crafting later in another crafting-specific guide. When your inventory is full of crafting materials, you can click the gear icon again and choose Deposit All Materials and have them sent directly to your crafting bank, saving both inventory space and time travelling to your bank. That's a good time to mention banking. Major cities and larger villages may give you access to your bank. Speak to a banker to access the bank. You can store a huge amount of crafting materials in the Crafting Material Specific bank and any other potentially useful items in the regular bank. All characters on your account can share the bank, so you can swap items between toons. There is also a guild bank that you may gain access to after joining a guild. Gathering and crafting. Gathering and crafting is complex enough to be its own video, so that's what I'm going to do. For now, all you need to know is this. There are various resources around the world you can collect. However, you'll need the correct tools to collect them. ores and minerals from rocks will need you to have a pickaxe equipped. Herbs will need a sickle, and trees and wood will need an axe. The game will supply you with a small amount of basic resource collection tools as you play, and you can buy more from merchants. Collecting these resources means you can then turn them into usable items and, ultimately, legendary weapons and armor. If you happen to see a tree to cut, a rock to mine, or a herb to gather, make sure to collect it, because you will also gain experience from doing so. Every time you collect a resource, you may use up one of your resource collection tools, so it's useful to carry around spares with you. Hero menu. Now comes the most intimidating, but also the most personal part of Guild Wars 2, customizing your character. Press H to open the hero menu. From this menu you have access to various settings all about your character. Let's talk through them in order. 1. Equipment. Click on the top left tab, the helmet icon, to open your equipment menu. This will show you several drop-down menus. Choose the first, also called equipment. The player image in the middle allows you to see what your character currently has equipped on them, all armor pieces and both weapons. You will unlock the ability to equip 2 weapons and switch between them at will as you level up. On the left-hand side, you'll see any items in your inventory that could potentially be equipped to whichever slot you have clicked on. This image will show you how your character actually looks with no aesthetic changes or overrides. But don't worry, you can change how you appear to the world and to other players. On the right-hand side, you'll be able to see all your player attributes, important behind-the-scenes numbers that affect everything from your damage output to % increase of how long beneficial buffs or boons apply to you. This is a lot of information, so don't be intimidated by it. For all beginner players, you won't need to know this. It's just nice to know what it is. The bottom right of this screen will show you what jewelry, such as rings or amulets, you have equipped, what gathering tools for resource collection, and any underwater weapons you're ready to fight with. Guild Wars 2 features underwater exploration and combat, and each class has a specific style of underwater weapon they can fight with. Return to the previous menu selection by clicking the left pointing arrow to the top left, then click on Wardrobe. The wardrobe is a place where you can customize how your character looks without changing any of their stats. You can make a piece of armor look like another piece that you have previously equipped or unlocked. For example, if I click on my helmet, I'll then get a list appear on the left of all the other helmet designs I have unlocked, and I can customize how I want it to look. Changing your looks costs transmutation charges. You can find these charges in 100% map completion reward chests, Black Lion reward chests, or buy them from the Black Lion trading store. You are limited by the customization wardrobe, however. You can only turn a piece of armor into another piece of the same type, either light, medium, or heavy. This means if I'm wearing a medium armor helmet, I can change it to look like any other medium helmet visually, but I cannot make it look like a heavy helmet, even if I do have those helmets unlocked on another character. Return to the equipment main menu and select the next drop-down menu, Dyes. Each item in Guild Wars 2 has several specific parts that can be dyed various colours. Each item usually has 3 specific sections that can each be dyed a different colour. Dyes can be unlocked by finding them in-game or buying them from other players or the Black Lion Trading Company. Once you've unlocked a dye, you can use it on any character. Applying dyes to armour and items also costs transmutation charges. There are roughly 570 dyes, 6 armour pieces with 3 dyeable sections each. This means there are literally billions upon billions of fashion combinations available. Return to the main equipment menu and click the next drop-down menu, Outfits. Outfits work slightly differently to wardrobe. They're still a fashion statement, but outfits are pre-chosen fashion sold through the in-game store. An outfit is a complete body fashion choice and cannot be combined with any other fashion. You can still dye an outfit in various combinations, however, outfits have absolutely no limitations on who can and cannot wear them, as they do not have an armor weight, light, medium or heavy, associated with them. This means you can be a light armor wearer and have a heavy outfit on, or you can be a heavy armor wearer and look like you are wearing a light outfit. Once you've purchased an outfit, it's available to every character on your account. All outfits you own will appear at the top of the outfit list. Some outfits can only be purchased during limited time events. You can try on any outfit by scrolling through the list and simply clicking on the one you want to see. Return to the main equipment menu and now click on Miniatures. A miniature is effectively a fashion pet. They follow your character around and look cool, but they don't have any effect on gameplay or interact with combat. They cannot die and cannot be lost. You can find miniatures in-game or purchase them through the Black Lion Trading Company. All miniatures you have already accessed will be shown at the top of the list, and you can click on any miniature in the list to see a preview stood next to your character. Return to the main menu equipment by clicking the back arrow and now head to Finishers. A finisher is a specific taunt that will be played over an opponent's dead body during PvP or world versus world battles. Finishers aren't essential in any way to gameplay, but they do let you show off how much better you are than your opponent. To preview what a finisher looks like, just click on it. Back on the main equipment menu, ignore the next 4 drop-down menus: Mail, Carriers, Glider Skins, Mounts, and Novelties. You won't need them as a beginner. Although, if you want to click on Novelties, then click on one of the 5 empty boxes to select a novelty type, have fun scrolling through them. Some of them are pretty interesting. Leave the Equipment tab and click the Build tab underneath, the square with a hexagon shape layered over it. This is your Build tab, the beating heart of your character class. This screen contains all the information about exactly what attacks you'll unlock if you equip a certain type of weapon, and detailed tooltips on all your utility skills, along with a customizable character build interface. Let's talk these through step by step. On the left-hand side, you'll see a list of all the weapons your class has access to. In this example, we're looking at the Warrior. If the weapon is two-handed, you'll see it lists all 5 attacks you'll be able to use with that weapon equipped. If the weapon is one-handed, equipping it in your main hand will supply the first 3 attacks, and the offhand will give you the final 2, allowing for a unique character build based on which weapons you're holding in which hand. On the right-hand side, you'll see a replica of your attack and utility bar, the same normally shown on your interface at the bottom. You can switch between ground and underwater combat by clicking the terrestrial or underwater icons to the left. And just like the action bar from the game interface, you can swap your utility skills around by clicking the pop-up arrow above the skills. Below the action bar, you'll see your character build specialization interface. You won't gain access to this interface until you've leveled up a bit, so don't worry about mastering it right away, but here's how it works. Let's look at just the top row. On the left-hand side is a large hexagon button. Clicking this will let you choose one of several specializations, each focusing on a different gameplay style for your class. The Warrior has access to Strength, Tactics, Arms, Discipline, and Defense specializations. Once you've chosen which one you like, you'll see the flowchart appear to the right. 3 hexagon skills linked each by a choice of 1 out of 3 squares. It's up to you which square to choose in each column. Each choice may grant you a different passive buff or gameplay mechanic. You can have up to 3 specializations active once you're a higher level, and you can change these choices at any time you're not in combat or in PvP. The exact build you'll need depends heavily on your gameplay style and specific situation. Don't worry about optimizing yet, just enjoy the game as you go. You'll notice some of the utility skills and specializations are grayed out and you're unable to select them. Well, that's because you need to purchase them with hero points, which is the next tab. Click the Training tab below the Build tab. The training icon is the up arrow with a torso silhouette, the same the map uses for hero challenges. The Training tab will contain 3 drop-down menus: Skills, Specializations, and Elite Specializations. As you level up or complete hero challenges, you'll gain hero points. This is where you spend them. Click the Skills drop-down menu to expand it, and you'll see the various styles you can put points into. Unlocking the more complex or powerful styles requires more hero points, and you cannot unlock elite specializations until you've unlocked everything else first. Training gives you access to healing, utility, or elite skills. If you play the game normally and succeed at all the hero challenges on every map, you will earn enough points to unlock everything. It is a huge amount to do, but very rewarding when you finally have your character exactly the way you want them. Don't worry about elite specializations yet. They are endgame, not beginner. Underneath Training, you'll see the Story Journal tab. This lists and chronicles your adventures so far and shows you the epic story you have ahead of you. You can click to expand on any of the specific story parts and read about it, including information on Guild Wars 2's Living Story, a constant and interactive story mode that moves the plot forward and allows all players to experience the epic adventure together. As a new player, don't worry too much about this section. Use it as a reference for plot points if you ever forget a specific part of the story. Underneath the Story tab, you'll see Crafting. This is complex enough to be its own video, so it will be. For now, it allows you to see all the items you could make with whatever profession you've chosen. I'll explain all about professions in another, much more detailed video. Underneath Crafting, you'll see the Achievement tab with the ArenaNet logo. Guild Wars 2 is huge, and there's much more to do than just combat. Every single thing you could possibly be rewarded for is here, from dungeons to raids to fractals, Guild Wars 2's versions of harder group content, all the way over to jumping puzzles or amount of enemies killed with a specific weapon. If you're ever unsure of what to challenge yourself with, choose an achievement you don't yet have and work toward it. The final tab is Masteries. This is for endgame characters, and as a newer player, you won't need to worry about this yet. Personal Story. Guild Wars 2 places you as the central character in a huge, world-spanning epic adventure story. This adventure is referred to as your personal story. You can tell it's a personal story quest because it will have a green star symbol next to it. You will unlock the personal story after you've leveled up a few times, and it's always advisable to do, as it will give you items and weapons appropriate for that specific level, as well as introducing you to the locations and complex cast of characters that make up the world of Guild Wars 2. The personal story contains a huge amount of exceptionally good voice acting, so make sure you do pay attention and listen to the epic adventure unfold. Dungeons and Fractals. Terminology is important here. As you're leveling, your personal story will take you through several dungeons, group, content, combat pieces. Once you hit endgame, you'll be able to explore fractals, much more challenging pieces of combat content. For now, as this is a beginner's guide, we'll look at dungeons. The first time you gain access to a dungeon, you'll have to physically go to that dungeon and either queue up or use the looking for group and enter. Dungeons have several different styles depending on how you're doing them, and are shown by a dungeon door icon on the map. Let me explain the styles. Each dungeon has two modes, a story mode and an explorable mode. The story mode will follow the main plot of the game and allows you to advance the story. As your personal story goes on, and the personal story has to involve a dungeon, you must play through the story mode version of that dungeon, killing the specific story boss to advance the plot. The first time you go, you'll have to play the story mode. Once you've completed the story mode and you go back, you can use explorable mode. This mode can change the route and the final boss depending on your team's choices. At the start of the dungeon, there may be an NPC asking what you would like to do, and depending on your choices and responses, different paths leading to different bosses will open up to you. Each dungeon in Guild Wars 2 contains at least 3 paths, with some having more. The paths each lead to different final bosses and different potential rewards. Because of this, each dungeon has huge replayability. I'll put out a more detailed guide on each dungeon and dungeon mechanics in the future. For now, all you need to know is story mode must be completed first, then explorable mode unlocks to hunt for rarer items and treasure. World bosses. As you're adventuring round, you may notice, every now and again, a huge gathering of high-level players. They are likely waiting for a world boss to spawn. World bosses are huge, dangerous enemies that take a big team to kill. Anyone can join in with a world boss kill attempt, and if you die, everyone around you is able to revive you. Each world boss is different and can give different rewards, so don't be afraid of going down and joining in. No matter how weak you might feel, doing any amount of damage is better than doing nothing, and as long as you do enough, you will get part of the reward. World bosses are often called out in the map chat by other players, so keep your eye out for other Guild Wars 2 players letting you know a huge enemy may be spawning near you. PvP. PvP in Guild Wars 2 is focused much more on skill than gear, because every player is given access to the same high-level gear. To join a PvP game, click on the PvP icon in the top left of the screen, and then simply click Enter PvP Lobby. You'll be teleported to the Heart of the Mists. This is effectively the waiting lobby, the room where you can set your build up and talk to other players. You will be given access to every single specialization, both normal and elite, and all the items you could need. Items and level in the regular game do not affect PvP. It will simply be your skill. While you're in the Heart of the Mists, there's also a jumping puzzle here, but I'm not going to tell you where it is. You've got to go and find it yourself. Click the PvP build icon at the top of the screen, the helmet to the left, and you'll be able to set up your weapons, armor, and build specializations. You're able to try out any build you can think of, so have a play around. Once you feel you're ready, click Play PvP, the icon top and center to the right, to join a game. As a new player, don't worry too much about PvP. It's pretty tough being thrown into your class at max level with max equipment and do well. But it's fun to see what you could one day have access to. I'll make a more detailed PvP focused guide for those of you who really want to ruin someone else's day in the future. And finally, if you've made it this far through the video, then well done. You now know the basics of Guild Wars 2. There's much more to discover with professions, the Mystic Forge, legendary weapons, fractals, guilds, world versus world, hidden diving goggles, and much, much more. But for now, you know enough to start a character, begin playing, and not feel totally overwhelmed. Guild Wars 2 is known for its welcoming community, so ask around if you need help. Any other player in game will help you, or feel free to leave a comment on this video and I'll try and get back to you. If you have any questions or feedback, you can join me live 5 nights a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/Josh Strife Hayes. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this guide has been useful, and have a fantastic time in Tyria.